Yeah. Nowadays, you know, really just since the map ended up getting released, you know, more players that were already experimenting with Viper in the first place. So people just kind of integrated Viper the first opportunity they saw fit. And the character's really good. It is meta. So indeed, Cooper, this debut, I would like to think, earlier we ended up seeing a stream debut for him, but this is his first full best of 3. He comes from Counter-Strike, he comes from Triumph, and multiple tier 2 and tier 1.5 teams from the scene. And him alongside Andbox, starting off already here on Breeze, and it's gonna be a couple of players already through the mid-tunnel.
Yeah, I like this early wall that KCP have thrown down to give the illusion of mid-aggression, but in reality, they've come to contest Hall as a Scuba pivots back, knowing that there is nobody towards the mid side. They go 1 for 0, now 1 for 1. Is Alexander, he was a sharp shooter in that last map that we saw, and he kicks it off with another. But again, we go back and forth as KCP, the Pioneers, find a 4v2.
Scourge just hunting for one of these last two. Vice running back for the hills. Of course, Spike still very much in their control, back over towards their own spawn. OOKERS looking to actually push out the situation, and he's actually split everything here. Cooper, he's all the way over in top mid. His teammate still with a Spike, isolated in a pretty much a 3-man trap between A and bottom mid. And Vice still has no clue where he even wants to meet with his teammate. Oh.
Cooper finding a big pick in the mid side. We'll see how they want to work this one out now. Is the possibilities are still pretty open. You can work back into the mid side, but again, there is a player flanking. So they should know that this B hit is coming, and that's why we see here these early rotations. Physic is going to sit towards the back left side. We'll see if he's going to be able to put a stop to it. Vice is going to make his way forward. Physic again just sitting, waiting, listening. Spike gets tapped. He's going to take the peek. Spike denied. Physic still sitting in the back. Cooper, he's just going to look for this frag. I don't think there's any chance he wins this. No, definitely not with the time now. So a first round for the Pioneers. Cooper staying alive. He's only going to get 1,000 credits, so not the best financial situation that you want to put yourself in early on.
Yeah, Cooper. Yeah, that's not too great economically. Yeah, he does save a sheriff, which is still going to help.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to buy too heavily into this round, so he should be on the same standing as the rest of his team.
No, and you would usually save the sheriff into that next round anyways, but, you know, still a little bit of extra cash, extra credits, especially for a Viper. It could be very valuable, but we're going to move on anyways. Andbox, most of the team, they're not even thinking about credits. They're not investing anything. We're seeing the Glocks. We're seeing the classics out once again. KCP with a couple of upgrades. And Andbox, yeah, it is looking kind of bleak, them being on the attacking side with the pistols out. But certainly makes something work. Where did that shot dart even kill someone? Physic, you absolute madman. The hold for mid. JMO still has 2 players around the corner. Recon bolt out. He's just going to continue to fight from here.
Oh, Scuba as well, just taking this long-range engagement. You know, it's a big risk for Andbox because you want to take a long-range fight towards halls and you only have classics. Well, I think from the get-go, you weren't really going to win that fight out. So the Pioneers, they make a clean 2-0 sweep. They only lose 1 player. It's a full bonus going to the next. And that player dropping is going to end up being JMO. So he's getting close to near that Blade Storm, so really no worries just yet for Pioneers on the economic front for Andbox. Thankfully, Cooper saving that 1 sheriff. The rest of his team electing to go for classic. They have a strong buy going into this next one. Full rifles up against the bonus. If Pioneers can lock it down, reset Andbox, get your economy rolling. We'll see what they can get going here. Looks like Andbox is just going to go for an early default, but we have a heavy contestation over towards this B side with 3 players from the Pioneers.
Heavy. And this is what happens when you have those downgraded rifles. You want to find some way through, however cheesy it may be. And this one is a bit interesting. Long range with the SMG. Punish over right into snipers. Over in the tunnel, though. Out goes Nets.
Oh, my.
Nice little peek. He knew OOKERS was there. The backhand to the face is going to at least equalize the round. But Andbox, they're still focusing on a default.
JMO's just looking for a little bit of a trade here. Sheriff shots ring out. Nice frag there from Physic, though. That's going to lock down that mid side. But still, Net, he's a big factor in this round. And that Spike is starting to transition over here from the Andbox side. Net, he's got the info that there's at least going to be 1. Is he going to get double swung? He drops a cage just in the nick of time, but he swung on by a 3rd. And there goes all that A control. So now these last 2 players, it's all up to them. And they have nothing to play with. Just this mid side. And it's a dry exec or a re-exec now back into the A side if that's where they want to go.
Mind you, this is Andbox bonus. Any damage they do here on out, I mean, if they win, they're going to be on a great path. But again, any damage that they do, any kills that they get, could still be massive. And look at this, Mata
I
coming
think
up
he saw
from
the
that
barrel.
mid side. Did Physics spot the barrel,
Yeah.
Sully? Indeed, he did, and he could be able to get a second. Alexander, still alive with 77 HP, might be able to get a plant down, and I don't think Alexander will. The jet coming up from main, and no, those Seekers were desperately close, Sully. Actually, because of that plant, or because of the lack of a plant, he actually doesn't have the Seekers.
Yeah, it would have been super nice for Alexander to get them online. However, I think in this eco round, it's not going to be too big of a deal, simply because you're probably not going to use an all like that in this situation. You're going to be a Marsh eco round, Marshals and Sheriffs to play with. But it's a good round for the Pioneers. This is kind of what I set up. It's like, okay, you win your bonus, you're going to reset the opposing team. That's what they've done here. You can get your economy rolling in. As you can see, Jam was elected gone for the operator. The rest of his team is sitting comfortably economically. So Andbox, you're not going to be looking to get too much out of this round in terms of economic damage, but I think they can get something out of it. I mean, Sheriffs are deadly, and they're approaching this A site quickly.
They're going to take their time at least to let that Owl drone out, and out goes
Oh.
finally that exec. Double guiding light going through, but JMO in the backside, coupled up with Physic. It's a beautiful duo, and the trio could have actually worked, but Cooper takes down the third. That's Scourge still around. KCP still on a man advantage. Andbox trying to fight their way through. Net getting a big kill. Two more players still for KCP sitting around site.
Hyperspit here is online as well for the Andbox. We'll see if they can get something as Vice does knock another one down. Things are getting a little bit dicey. Cooper is ready to use it, and here it comes. This was a scare. You get a couple of kills, and our ultimates get charged. Now what do you play with here? 2 versus 3. It is still so winnable here for the side of the Pioneers, but it's so much more difficult because this Viper Spit is now in.
Yep, anyone's round. These two players from Andbox, they could get spammed at any point. And it's really just a gust of wind. 1 or 2 bullets should be able to take down these last two guys, and indeed they do. Vice goes down. Now it's only down to 1. Cooper in a 1v2 has a good angle, but he looks away. The timing as Scuba enters his domain, and it all dissipates after. KCP, they're going to continue their reign of terror. Andbox left in the dirt.
Yeah, for a situation that Andbox looked like they should have surely won, I think a couple of the players overextend a little bit too much. You reveal literally an inch of your body, like this instance here from Net. He gets blocked out by his own teammates' Viper Spit, and you go for a reswing here. I think maybe Vice had the same issue where he got his vision blocked, but you put Cooper in a 1v2 where he only has a Sheriff, and they're approaching from 2 different angles. It's always going to be a 50-50 in that instance. So 4-0 for the Pioneers, although it was a very costly round due to Andbox finding great success on those Sheriffs. They cleaned things up, and once more Andbox heavy stack outside this A site with just one lurking towards the mid side. There is no one here from the Pioneers. Most of the contestants in halls.
Take flight.
I've got your trail.
Yeah, no eyes on this site. Don't even know if there's a camera up anywhere. So if anything, this is just going to be a free take for Andbox. KCP preparing for a 5-man retake.
Seekers already went out, gets a little bit of information. They know one is going to be lurking back towards mid. And you still have Net kind of just waltzing on up. Alexander's going to be able to find the first, but JMO winning out a huge fight. There's that late lurk from Net, and now the worry is towards the mid side.
There's only one there, still 2 right in the middle of sight. JMO, he's got to watch his step.
He's got 9.
And as he tiptoes through, he's going to be able to get a third. JMO clearing out the middle of sight. There's still 2 all the way back in main, but JMO now body blocking, meat shielding. Out goes the Cypher. Net's going to be able to take down 2. JMO, a little bit ballsy, but as this goes down, Physic continues the defuse, and KCP, they are left once again with another big round. But Sully, what even happened in the middle of that round?
It felt like that for a second. It was all in Andbox's control, but JMO makes this very risky play, and I think it's because he threw a deep smoke on the minimap. We saw like a little blip, but there's a deep smoke that he threw towards the mid doors, and those 2 snake bites coming at the last second. The confidence from JMO to toss that smoke down in mid doors, knowing that there's a player there,
Viper
and still
Spit.
went out this fight. Scuba's gonna use the early Viper Spit like you said. So hard to counter towards this A side. And well, Andbox, this might reroute them just a little bit.
Just a little bit. 4 players that were looking to commit, at least in terms of an A split. There's 3 players back over towards main. Vice is just watching mid, and I don't think Vice was going to go for a split at all, Sully. Vice might just stick himself here in mid for a little bit of time, potentially cut off some rotations.
Yeah, we've seen this lurk at hand. What has happened here? I was going to say there's a lurk, but OOKERS. They traded positions. They know where the spike is, but they don't know where Net is. Net camera, it doesn't even spot him out. So Net, he's the game changer in this round, and if he could get a kill, it would be phenomenal.
All right, they hear Vice. They hear that owl
sling
drone
this.
go
No.
out. Yeah, no, he's got to be done. He didn't spot OOKERS. Just knife him in the back. Let it end. The suffering from Vice says he just couldn't even see his own demise. So brutal. Mata still going to be able to get that. Oh, still get that trade back. And finally, the lurk from Ned ends up coming up big. Clearing out the B site. Now the plant is all theirs. These last two players from KCP, they have a whole lot of cash. They might as well try.
Yeah, it's like OOKERS, he wins the battle by getting the knife, but they haven't won the war, certainly with this round. Net, that lurk, always in the back of our minds that he could be approaching. He finds a great moment to strike after OOKERS goes down, peeks out for the third frag. And the Pioneers looks like they're going to concede their first as Scuba left alone. So many great crossfires being held, and as soon as that wall goes down, Mata's ready for the fight. 5-1 as Andbox keep 3 players alive. And they will have a little bit extra to move forward in the next. Hunter's here and that Bladestorm online. The Pioneers into their side. Struggling a little bit for cash. As you can see, JMO going heavy into that operator. Same with OOKERS into his buy.
Well, that's mainly because JMO has been rebuying that op.
Yeah.
That's already the second time. Yeah. Already, I think the third round in a row now that we've seen JMO on the up. And whether that be rebought from a teammate or from his own wallet, it is definitely taking a bit of a hit. Of course, it's the same price as 2 rifles, so things get a little bit accelerated in terms of the, actually a little bit falsified economy of KCP. However, they aren't exactly budging in terms of setup. They still have 2 over towards that B site, but that op is playing a lot closer into A main.
Oh, Physic. The reason why that op is there is it allows these other 2 players to watch 2 different angles, because the main focus so far from the Andbox has been towards this A side, whether through mid or through the holes. So you split 3 players up. Physic's good to find one. Mata, a lovely lurk, is going to be spotted out. Info given. Now, does Physic want to take this fight? They certainly know where Mata is, but they don't know where the rest is for now. Andbox quieting things down as they look to reapproach back towards the B site. They don't have that wall to play with, so they are battling up against Viper and Cypher, 2 very devastating agents to work against, and a nice dink as Mata's been revealed.
Oh, and it's going to be such a weird battle for these players in the middle of site. Look at these guiding lights! Going big, flashing out to Alexander with a massive tap into the back line. He was already an absolute madman in terms of aim, and the last time we saw him on Breeze. He could definitely go for a couple more. 2 more could be in the middle of his screen. 3 more now. As KCP, they begin to make their way out of spawn. Early Hunter's Fury gonna make them scramble a bit. Alexander going for the peek. Mata doing the same thing. Alexander getting a couple taps in. Turns around the corner. Still gonna be able to get a second in the scramble. Making a third. Alexander! Why would you ever take your camera off him? Alexander is the spotlight. A second round for Andbox. And Alexander is back to his fragging ways.
That is a phenomenal entrance. He literally should have had an ace there because he was the one that got the dink on OOKERS through the wall with the Vandal. And then he immediately flicks back to Scuba. What a phenomenal play. And this is what we talk about when we say Sky is becoming a duelist. He literally solo entried after Mata went down. That is incredible from Alexander to find 4 here. And Andbox, they find a second round because of it. That resets the Pioneers. And we see Andbox with a very strong and a very wealthy buy moving forward into this one as they again approach the A site once more. Mata's going to take this early peek with the op. Doesn't see anything, and that gives space to his team.
Sure does, but again, Mata still just going to be very, very careful what the movements even are in the middle of the side. Again, not spotting anything. It's actually led to Andbox actually getting themselves 2 kills here, and indeed it happens. Net and Vice, patience. They're able to get 4 here. Physic now the last one remaining in a 1v5. Simply only has a Sheriff, and yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy, but Andbox only dropping 1 rifle should just be fine going forward.
It's nice as well that Vice is the one that finds those 3 kills because he's charging up that ultimate a little bit sooner. These 2 rounds ago, that's when he used it. So they have 2 pretty major ultimates. The Bladestorm for Mata, as you can see, he is pivoting off that operator. So if he needs to, he can pull upon that. Seekers to get a lot of information. Now again, the Pioneers, 3 players stacked up to the B side, but it's not as aggressive a take as we saw earlier in this half. And it'll be Andbox instead that will once more set themselves heavy towards this A side, and no kill yet for Mata as JMO's gonna instead win that fight out.
It's still gonna be at least KCP scrambling their way back, trying to find a way back over towards A, but this is good. I was questioning the fact if they even had retake utility, but they at least had the cam. That gets broken open, though.
Spike planted.
JMO at least just playing out that contact. Andbox still with 3 players in the middle of sight.
Yep.
Ooh.
Seekers ready here for the Pioneers. I mean, they have those flashes if they need be. OOKERS is going to try and work his way out. That could be a free pick if that swing goes in, and yes, it is. 4v3.
Out goes that guiding light. Could have been a big one, but Alexander actually gets pelted by a Seeker at the exact same time. Oh, look at the approach. Could have been a kill back from Alexander, but he's still going to be able to get one. And that's the only one that Andbox is going to get as they try to defend the site. It all goes null. 6-3.
Yeah, if Alexander is maybe able to find that last kill there, or the kill onto the Viper jumping down from that Fox on OOKERS, is a good chance that maybe that round comes to fruition. But Andbox, they concede the 6th. The A site had been working so well for them already that at some point it had to break down, and here it does. We get a nice overhead look. Great utility coming out from Physic to force these players into very foreseeable angles, unpredictable angles at that, as Pioneers coordinate themselves, work together in those crossfires to get into the site. Still, Andbox with a very strong buy. Same thing with the side of the Pioneers, but both teams kind of hovering around that mark where it's like you're only 1 or 2 rounds away from being that full reset. 1 round for KCP, 2 rounds for Andbox. So on thin ice for the rest of the half is both of them are. Walk up towards elbow. Mata again, he's been so good at taking this space and he's wiggled himself all the way up. Net again lurking towards his hall side. He's always been playing these solo positions, and as a Trailblazer goes in, forcing him back, they are putting a lot of pressure. However, he's put down so much util, and he can honestly win out a duel here if he's able to find a frag. Dag down to 72, and in the meantime, attention drawn as Mata's found a way up towards halls.
This is just such a terrible position for Scuba to be in, but Scuba has to convert, but from behind. Well, that's definitely the best route for it. Nobody checking his 6. Mata comes up from behind. Everybody else from Andbox just prowling their way onto site. But now KCP was having already a bit of trouble just holding down these deep choke points. Now they have to make yet another retake. That guiding light so deep. Cooper, good little wide swing, but it's going to be Alexander already with another big kill. Physic with the op. And JMO, of course, begging for it. Basic, it's just going to have to save it out. Very well done from Andbox. It's not the result that I was expecting, Sully, but that B-side hold, it only had a singular person there anyways.
Yeah, and that's because of Net. Net does a phenomenal job, and he gets that pressure. He understands that he's got Trailblazer, and I love the instant reaction to not only throw down 2 cages, but to throw a trap wire as well in the middle of the cage so it's not detectable. Great play from Net on that solo lurk, and it gives Andbox this 4th round. Not entirely, but him alone drawing rotation is big enough as is, and the Pioneers suffering, and here's that 1 round reset I'm talking about. They're going to be lowered down to lots of downgrades. You can see 2 sheriffs already bought up in this round. Thankfully, I think it's the better call to not fully go into it. JMO's going to buy the armor here as he has the Blade Storm. Operator can be passed over, but I think it's better that Physic holds on to it for the time being. 6-4, Andbox, 2 rounds looking to close it out, and they have the economy to play out the rest of the half at this point.
Andbox not exactly going to be worried, but it's JMO pushing out the situation early. Oh, Collab with a right click, and he's able to get a 3rd, make it a 4th. Yes, JMO, it's a firing range, and he can continue to sweep across this entire server. JMO, what an explosion. And he's chasing the ace. Ned's still in that back line. Jed just around the corner. Knives are ready in the perfect position for a right click. Net, does he anticipate it though?
Oh
no, he doesn't. JMO, what an ace!
Have you seen anything like that first double kill ever? Because I never have.
A collateral right click. It's like never.
It's not a collateral because I think the spread of the knives just ends up getting 2 here. Oh my.
How is that possible? Because, yeah, I mean, it's technically not a collateral because they don't go through the body. But like you said, Sully, some knives hit one person, some knives hit the other, and it's an ace for him.
Dude, that is unreal. I guess there's good reason why you don't pass that man the op, and on essentially a full eco, despite the 1 saved op, they win that round from 1 play, and he's the only one on A, so if he doesn't do his job, they lose that round, and this time there is no one on A. Opt for JMO down towards the mid side. It's a full retake here from the Pioneers. The spike is to go down, but that doesn't mean Mata stopping the run. Scourge is going to punish him, and now we're in a 4v5 with the ults online for the Pioneers.
Out goes that Viper's pit. right in the middle of the spike plant, but OOKERS already has made up that space back. Same thing with Scourge, and the kill goes down on Cooper. Cooper goes down, Viper's Pig goes down. 2 more players now for Andbox. Alexander trying to sit in that back line. He has a good off angle, but it's only good for 1. Trailblazer trying to come in. That's Cypher!
Oh,
no way! Alexander's still gonna be able to get the kill. JMO gets another kill back on DIVIZE, and the diffuser's going down at the exact same time. It is pure chaos, but once everything is done, KCP doing real good with all the pace in the world going into the second half. It's an A4 score line, and the Kansas City Pioneers looking real good over Andbox. We'll see you guys after the half for the second half. Welcome back to the beach side. It's Breeze here for Summer Championships in the second half between the Kansas City Pioneers and Andbox about to go down. And as you can just see from the scoreline and just from the little timeline of events, KCP, they had a fun first half.
Yeah, I mean, JMO most certainly had one of the most fun rounds I think I've ever seen. Andbox, they're on the defensive half now. Again, mirror composition, so I guess what Pioneers could do on the defense, you expect Andbox to be the exact same on their defensive side. An early peek towards Halls combined with a poison orb. Scourge is going to take a whole lot of space, and we see Net kind of hovering around that double door as he's watching in case they want to split back in, and that seems to be the case. 3 players walking their way on up, and there's no one spotting mid. They might not expect Net here.
Oh, only going to be able to get one. Quickly, still going for more. Going to be able to get a second. Still no trade. It's an absolute loss. Finally, JMO going to be able to get that kill. The rotation from Andbox. 2 players out from that mid side, and KCP, they have some similar cheeky positions here.
Low HP on at least the one and towards back of cave, and I like that he's decided to fall away here. Physic is falling back deep, but he's here for the double peek if he needs to with JMO. Nice little taps. They've got the info. They know where the second is as well. They saw the hour drone come out, and it's such a risk because you have to clear out one of the other angles. Cooper goes down. Vice left in the 1 versus 2. Again, low HP on Physic is the one thing to keep in mind of, but I don't think he's going to present himself, and I love it. Physic not overextending. Recon bolts in case he's pushed too deep out. They have the info. They should have the round, and yes, they do. A little bit of a struggle in the last engagement, but 9-4 for the Pioneers as they kick it off with a pistol.
I think he could have made it possible. Scourge showing one too many pixels. But it is just, of course, good looks for the Kansas City Pioneers. Yeah, you got to feel for Andbox, Sully. I mean, just seeing them in this sort of scenario isn't exactly in high spirits, for sure. Because we talked about it yesterday. Almost literally the pistol round nowadays. I'm feeling like it is leaning to that state.
Yeah, it's like if you lose it, you end up. Well, it depends what the half scoreline is, right? If it's 6-6, it's a different story. 7-5, but yeah, in this instance, with only 4 rounds to win for the Pioneers, and those 4 rounds could be spun in an instant here. So Andbox are again on very, very thin ice, as I spoke about in the last half, given their economy. So a big win here would be needed. But I think, oh, never mind. I'm not going to speak too soon, as Alexander is so clean with that classic. A quick drive-by, and Net has just found a great opening down towards deep mid.
He's looking for some more. Scourge also has a one-shot headshot machine in the Guardian.
Oh my, no.
No way! Catches him on his way out. Now Scuba, this is just an easy spot for him. Why would you ever go up against the Spectre there? Easy little spray down from Scuba. Multiple headshots on his screen. And Andbox is just giving away a 2-man advantage, it seems.
Oh, long-range fight with this classic. Cooper struggling. Low HP. Who wins it? Scuba has the second swing for Motors, and that's opened up the B side. I was going to say in the instance that both players, or both teams in similar stature, one with full HP, the other on low, and Scuba, risky fight there. But it is so winnable for Net because look how split they are. I mean, they have a nice crossfire if they have to work back towards mid. But he has a Vandal, and that's the one headshot potential that becomes very deadly in a situation like this. Sees him?
Oh. Maybe. And it's just going to be that full HP Cypher that we just have to pay attention to really for the rest of the round. I just like that different plant position, just playing post plant out towards mid. It's just a big curveball. Net, of course, anticipates it. Just looking around for that second contact. Going to be able to get one right onto Scuba, but he has nothing. He has no cyber cages. OOKERS has full line of sight. Net has to run. It's going to be a saved Vandal, but actually well done from Andbox. I mean, Sully, you just know the ideology already. It's the anti-eco. Andbox was able to take away a couple of rifles. KCP's economy not exactly doing the best.
Yeah, it's a heavy hit from the Andbox camp. Pioneers only saving that one rifle. So because Andbox went out that round, or not necessarily went out the round, but I definitely think that they win that engagement with what they had. You're walking away and you basically set Pioneers up for disaster if you lose this round. I mean, despite Pioneers winning the last 2 rounds, they have the worse buy and they have the worse economy, which is insanely ironic to think about because you win the first 2, but you've been hit so heavy, and Andbox have a chance to win out this round, reset them, and maybe find a little bit of extra momentum as the Pioneers not playing too antsy this time around. They're going to take things very slow, as once more we see this Halls from Scourge combined with that Poison Orb, and he gets good info, and I think he spotted the both of them.
Yeah, he indeed did. That Guardian, gonna be tough to defend against. Nice little flash. It hits Mata full, but Scourge now only down to 5 HP. That is some easy pressure from Mata. One shot to the body did it. OOKERS alongside 3 more players actually going out from mid, and Net and Mata holding down the line. And mission might just be accomplished here for Andbox. Physic has to fight off a 1v5, now a 1v4. There's 2 players right in the middle of sight. Alexander and Vice, they have the crossfire. But Physic is not exactly looking to just throw his life out there. With just about 45 seconds left, he is back in his spawn.
A couple of old points certainly wouldn't hurt here for Physic. The idea from the Pioneers was to use Physic in this position as kind of a late lurk to catch players picking their head towards Halls. Hold on, there's 30 seconds left, and it's a 1v1. You're on the side. Physic, don't do it. Another ace on the cards in a 1v1. The spike is down. It's certainly doable. He's already done enough to get the ult charged up, and he knows he should have an idea. He sees him, but it's a little bit too late. Physic, he made that way too close, and I mean, Andbox had a chance where they keep all 5 players alive, and next thing you know, the Pioneers, they've done enough damage to again put Andbox in the worry front of their economy.
Yeah, and it was almost inevitable when KCP ended up making their approach, because look at just the amount of pressure that Andbox had going over towards tunnel. And just that entry from the mid side, so easy. What the crab doing?
I've never seen this from Yeti.
He do be walking though.
I like how he shrinks into the little corner as well.
Why does he shrink?
I have no idea.
Back in this little hidey hole. Cypher doing the same thing. Andbox.
Get out of my way.
Just trying to hold on desperately to the rifles here, Sully.
Yeah, they get Jomo onto these knives. Mata putting a lot of pressure. All of this noise, all of this commotion. I actually like this. It's a full fake here from the side of KCP and JMO with these knives. We know how good this man can be. And in the meantime, 3 players approach. Cooper in the back's got to deal with them all. He's done phenomenal to find one. Pivoting around now the backside of sight. Had 2 in his line of sight, and he's found them all. 1 off the Viper's pit now is Physic. He did phenomenal last to do damage, but this time around he'll have none of it. Andbox will take another round as KCP off of that eco will have the buyback moving forward.
And with that reinvestment, Andbox also find themselves in what is their most important little scenario yet. I mean, yes, they are going to have enough cash to reinvest after, but ultis are so tantalizingly close that really both teams might be tempted to just use it for one last wave. Of course, KCP is going to be the one to most likely be the one to get pressure to use it, but very important ults already live. And KCP, they already have an area in mind.
Trailblazers straight on up, and look at this from the other side of Andbox, getting full A main control. So now they've got essentially all of this information. OOKERS is watching the lurk, though. Alexander still spinning his head back to find it. Now they've gotten rid of that. Now they know, and you can see the pivot back here. The Pioneers, again, have those 2 ults to play with. That Hunter's Fury and that Viper's Pit, but it's got to get into the site. Net's been mauled out from the backside, and he is out in the open alone.
Net still has Cam. Indeed, he pulls it up, but he's not going to be able to find anything. Oh, spray coming in from Net. He misses out a little bit, but he's still going to be able to get the kill. Scourge and JMO, a good response, but they're the last 2 remaining. It's a 2v5, now converted into a 2v3. In my eyes, it's possible.
Oh, and Mata, not anymore. Not anymore. As Mata, that pressure from A main or A cave to work his way all the way in. The Pioneers, they had a good exec, and the reason why I said that Net was all alone despite there being a player in the backside is because those toxins, that wall separated them. You can see here, that wall goes down and a crossfire erupts. Players approach, I mean, they had the setup, Pioneers. They had the molly, they had everything going for them, but they took way too long, and now Andbox find a 7th. The Pioneers now down again to another eco where it's just Sheriff today, Marshall. 4 ultimates lined up, so it certainly isn't out of the question, but that was their round, and they just took things a little bit too slow for my liking, and now they're going to have to try and speed things up here on the A site.
That just means, Sully, that the next rifle round that we end up getting between Andbox and KCP is just going to be absolutely enormous in terms of round count. Andbox,
Oh my gosh.
they could certainly stop the bleeding a little bit if they can let go of a couple picks. Indeed, Cooper's going to start things off right. Going to be able to get 1, make it a second. No. Trying to dash on back. The rest of Andbox currently have all the picks in the world, and now Cooper still going to be able to get a second. Scuba currently stuck. There you go. Still getting a second onto Alexander. The shock darts not connecting. All right, you know what? 60 HP. Scuba pulling off a 1v5. Why not make it possible? 20 HP remaining.
You know, I like how you're so optimistic, but I hate to say it.
I'm very
Scuba,
optimistic.
2 players now watching. If he's got a chance for collateral, they're playing the high-lows. So, you know, I have faith in Scuba.
Look.
But it was a little far-fetched, to be completely honest with you.
I like to give hope. You know what? I think the power of copyright symbol, Van Silly positivity nowadays, he's been getting to me, man. He really has. So you know what? Summer champs, good vibes. We're beachside. I don't see why not someone can just have the best play of their life go in for a 1v5. But no, unfortunately, not going to happen. Andbox currently with a lot to think about, but it's actually the timeout from KCP, which absolutely makes sense. They're the ones that have to stop this next rifle round, and they're the ones that have to stop what is, Sully, essentially a server filled with ultimates.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that the Pioneers, this tactical timeout comes at a perfect moment because you have all your major ultimates and you want to orchestrate, right? This is the round where you get momentum back using these ults, and you want to be like, okay, how do we want to approach this round? We have Hunter's Fury, Viper's Pit, and Seekers. What do we want to do? From the minimap, it looks like they're leaning again towards this A side where the Viper's Pit can just work its way from the front A main entrance into A side. You can play the post plant with a poison orb as well. Those snake bites come into effect, and Seekers and flashes are so effective here on the A side. So that seems to be the approach here. The full buy back, however, I think JMO picking up the operator is a big question as to whether or how they plan to use this Viper's Pit. Because if he throws that Viper's Pit up here, Scuba, there's no line of sight immediately for JMO to play with this op. So as we move into this round, a very crucial round for the Pioneers is, again, economy has not been looking good, and Andbox are nearing a tied scoreline. How do they plan to use these ults? They're off the tac pause. I think we have another pause. I think this one's actually a technical.
Just kind of got to land on our feet here, folks, as we, of course, await this game coming back. But, I mean, man, what a story, really, as we actually do get a chance to really sit back and look at the scope of things. Andbox was kind of the last team I expected, Sully, to almost dissolve, and I'm not going to say get poached, but just go off in their own directions. It's funny, though. They have another group of 5 players that I think could still maintain that same Andbox image from before. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, I mean, it's at this point in time developing this roster. I remember the hype that was like JC, Stani, and Thwifo. There's surely no way Andbox don't qualify for close qualifiers. And then they barely scrape by with a couple of wins in the open bracket, and then they end up going out. So not out of the question. This new 5, you pick up Cooper. He brings a lot of experience to the competitive scene. But, I mean, the way that Pioneers have been playing, at least in that first half, Andbox, they've definitely brought the heat, and they are showing their experience here as a quick exit to this A site. As called, there's the Viper's Pit still available, but the Seekers go in from both sides. Or apologies, just the Andbox side to get info back. And they're making a critical read as OOKERS is on alert.
Yeah, no, that's big from OOKERS. That's really the first time that the mid lurk has really worked out for really either one of these teams. Now, finally, KCP. That's the first time we end up seeing that entry frag, but Vice is looking to take it back. He's all the way up tunnel already, but KCP, they already have 2 players still watching over that one exit. Vice still thinking about that drop, and nobody's going to be on his screen if he decides to peek.
Here's the thing, though, for Andbox, and you can see why they're playing so split. Yes, Vice has got deep control, but the option to instantly rotate back is still going to be there. And Scourge, who's going to look for that kill, but instead the Hunter Streak comes out. A big combination of frags as Vice dropping down the vents is going to be good for another. 3v4, Viper's Pit online, so this post plant for the Andbox side, it becomes very difficult to win this out.
Oh, Viper's Pit. Yeah, you mentioned it. It was ready, and they pull it out. Andbox now with only 3 players. 2 players right outside. You see that Trailblazer going in. JMO is just going to hold on to this tight angle. There's still 2 players still sitting right in the middle of the pit. One more over towards lane, and there you go. Physic with a big trade. Still getting prepared, though. Only 5 bullets to go. Vice looking around. Scourge with a shot, but now here goes the 50-50. Oh, man. That kill onto the Viper. Super important. Scourge was up against the ropes. His position was already almost well known to that last person alive. But even then, they make it happen.
A great round into that exec from Pioneers. They pull attention with that 1 kill from mid and OOKERS, taking down the operator of Mata. They cut noise towards the A side. They leave the option open if they want to go back to B, and Andbox had to very much consider that, so that 2-2 split ends up happening. And alone in the back site was Cooper. He ends up going down. The Pioneers fighting in 11th after that tac pause and that technical timeout. Andbox still with plenty of credits. Momentum still certainly on their side. It hasn't been fully swept. Both Trailblazers encounter towards elbow. Not a lot of info for either of them, so Andbox and KCP kind of playing blind off of the utility at the moment.
Oh, Mata. Out orb right below him. Ends up blocking out the guiding light that comes out. He had a massive opportunity for a frag, but instead we're going to see the rest of KCP still sitting around B main. This is a very safe hold here in the B sites. If the fast rotation from Alexander opts to go through, Cypher has everything ready to go alongside 2 players ready to come back.
Oh, Andbox, they're making a read that is simply unfortunate. Rotating back to this A side. Yes, they have the delay factor, but still, it's only 1 person. Net has got it all to do here in the middle of B.
Oh, he peeks out early. Gonna be able to get 1, making a 2nd, and a whole lot of damage done to a 3rd. He's still trying to hold it down. Hunter's Theory trying to help out. JMO with a couple of hits, and Mata gets that trade back right as he emerges from that backside. Now 2 more players remaining for KCP. Mata taking down a peg. He's down to 41 HP. Cooper watching the cross, knows that OOKERS is around the corner. These are dire straits for these last 2 players at KCP as Andbox continue to make their way through. Physics still gonna be able to get another kill. Out goes the swing! OOKERS! How does he get that kill? Physic now coming in. He sees the body of one. He missed out on the shot. I don't think he missed. I think he got Vice through the wall. 4 seconds left. No time remaining. It's a disaster.
An unreal hold from that. I'm still letting that sink in. I set himself up to be the guy that has to hold it down, but the fact that he finds 2 all by himself with literally no assistance, and that Hunter series comes in after this first kill, and that trip going on causing so much confusion. That is an outrageous hold from Net. He's got the utility assistance as well, and Andbox, a single man locks it down. And the Pioneers, yes, they've saved that operator, but they haven't saved much else. They're going to be working again with those pistols. No ults, no help from that. And Andbox sweep things up 11-9. As the comeback still approaching. 2 rounds to go to tie things up here. And on this eco, I think Andbox should have their number. Early holes pressure, but it's Mata watching with this op.
Trailblazer, is it going to spot Mata? Don't think it will. Mata can maintain this angle a little bit, but out goes. Just a bit of a screen. Back with the Poison Cloud, but still KCP. They were already planning on a bit of a split over towards the A site, so they just go back over towards A main. Alexander holding down the line again. This is almost trademark at this point. Alexander in that cubby corner, able to get a couple of kills, but Scuba now with a ghost with a sidearm, able to entry into sight. Vice with a big kill, and he's gonna be able to get a second. This clears out the site. Scourge still trying to avenge his fallen comrades. But it's double digits for Andbox. This was such a wide margin going in from the halftime. And KCP, they're on the verge of letting that slip.
Yeah, at a point in time, it was 10-4. And Andbox, pulling 6 rounds on their favor, are now only 1 from the tied scoreline. The KCP, the Pioneers, finally will have a light buy back. Jamo's going to be working with that Blade Storm. You can see once more in the minimap, a heavy approach again towards this A side. Ults nearing completion, a lot of them for both of these sides, and the Blade Storm coming out. Again, that poison up towards Solas to have the idea of that late lurk, but again, full focus here. Cypher, Net is going to be the one to watch, and he is alone once more. There's one assistance from Bridge, but look at this lurk down mid. It is a massive play coming out from Andbox.
Yeah, this is just a good information play, but even then, they're not going to get any sort of contact. Instead, it's almost everyone from KCP. 4 trying to come out right from the middle of sight. And now Jamo in the back line, not going to be able to get anything off of the Blade Storm. Scuba now with 1. Going to make it a second now as OOKERS gets another one. 3v3. Mata from the mid side with a big shot off the off. Physic, a bit of a lineup, and he still ends up catching up. Alexander, that Guardian going big. 1 more player remaining in a 1v2. Vice stuck in the back line, and he's getting sandwiched. 2 players coming in from both sides. Still going to be able to get 1. The 180 doesn't work against OOKERS. And OOKERS taps away at Vice before he's able to hide. Once again, another round full of chaos.
And a big one at that for the Pioneers, because if they lost that round again, they suffer that economic loss. Yeah, that reset. Andbox would have been able to find possibly a 12th thereafter. Because they keep things strong in that 22nd round. In this 23rd, they still have a decent buy again. Because of the economic situation, it has not been looking good for the Pioneers, no matter the instance that they've put themselves in, no matter the rounds that they find somehow to win. They have a Bulldog and a lot of light shields to go around. Again, another approach to the A site, a little bit more aggressive from Net, but he's been spotted out by that Owl Drone, so the aggression nullified. However, he doesn't get the info that Mata's playing here with the Operator, so this could be a surprise for KCP once they start to walk in.
If they opt to walk in. Andbox. You're still going to maintain those cheeky little positions. KCP, they're simply hovering around main at the moment. They have a lot of utility to use, including that guiding light utilized simply for a contact over in tunnel. Just leaves a little bit more flexibility, but that is going to break down the crossfire a little bit. Mata, he gets that first contact. He gets pinged out. He has to run. And now we're seeing KCP going back all the way to B, and this time, Sully, it is only 1. It is Cooper once again.
Seekers go in. Look at this illusion. 2 of them go back towards mid, and the other ones run through the A site. So they were for a second thinking it was A, and now Cooper You mentioned him earlier, and he is gonna go down. Scuba fighting that frag, gets the Viper's Pit online. Spike will be planted as he passes over the spike to his Sova. OOKERS was already here this whole time, so he's gone aggressive. It is a cleanup here, I think, to close out map number 1, unless Mata can pull off something heroic in this 1 versus 4.
Yeah, ain't no way, ain't no freaking way. Mata now going in for a 1v4, and he starts it off right. He already has 2 kills. The Blade Storm is out. Nobody's in the Viper's Pit at the moment. This is a good clear from Mata, but simply a bit of a distraction. One on the perimeter, and it's Scuba.